Hello everybody and welcome to a video that you guys requested and we were super interested in. This is us ranking the Eldritch Horror investigators, how we perceive their power level, or rather, how we remember their power level. It's been a while since I played. I think the last time I played was when we did the distance game with Patrick in like the pandemic, which, I mean, we're technically still in, but like, you know, it was at the beginning of it all. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
We have played this game a lot, so we're only talking a little bit out of our butts potentially for this one. So these look like they're in alphabetical order, so we're just going to dive in. I have the wiki open for here for people who also need to know what these guys do. But we're going to start with Agatha Crane, the parapsychologist. So she has 4 book, 3 handshake, 3 eye, 1 strength, and 2 brain. Her action is you may perform 1 action on a ritual or tome possession you have and gain +2 during that action, +2 book. And then once per round, when you pass a book test as part of a spell effect, gain 1 clue. She starts with Call the Storm and Instill Bravery, which is action, choose a monster on your space, test book -1. If you pass, the chosen monster loses 3 health, then flip this card. And then Instill Bravery is once per round. When an investigator would lose sanity, you may test book. If you pass, prevent that investigator from losing up to 2 sanity.
She's like pretty good.
Yeah,
She starts in Tokyo, which isn't a great place to start, I don't think. But
Tokyo is
she gets-
improved bookland, right?
no, Tokyo is fight monsters.
You
land.
injure monsters.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shanghai must be improved bookland then.
Yeah, like getting clues for free just for like doing brain test or book tests for spells.
Yeah,
Where
it
you get
seems
to
kind of
start
nice,
with
even
them.
just like if someone takes sanity and you can just get a clue out of it while also protecting them. Seems kind of nice, just right off the get-go.
Yeah.
And then when you get a spell that's like really good, like, you know, you can just like plumb the void and then get a clue out of it.
Yeah.
Seems kind of nice. Yeah. What do we think?
I think she's a solid. We could put her in A for now. Yeah.
I think she's a solid A tier. She's strong.
Yeah. I have a feeling like she was from one of the last expansions.
Yeah, she's from the.
She is
that's
from
the
literally
dream
the
one.
Yeah.
last expansion.
Her masks.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
because I don't like. I think we played with her once.
Yeah. She seems sick though. Like.
But yeah, her abilities seem very powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, because you get +2, so you're testing at 6 for that Instill Bravery and that Call the Storm. Seems
Yeah,
sick.
it's pretty good.
All right, next up, Agnes Baker. So, she has 4 book, 3 handshake, 2 eye, 2 fist, 2 brain, 7 health, 5 sanity. As an action, test book -1. If you pass, gain 1 spell. And you may spend 1 health to roll 2 additional die when resolving a book. It's resolving a book test as part of a spell effect. She starts with Profane Tome and Storm of Spirits. Profane Tome is you may reroll 1 die when resolving a brain test during a combat encounter. And Storm of Spirits is resolving a combat encounter, you may resolve a book test in the place of the combat test using the same modifier, and if you do, flip this card. So she fights with her book. That's what she does. She's a mystic through and through.
Yeah, you give them the old book fight.
This brings me back to I remember when we started playing Arkham Horror the card game, and I was like, why am I using my brain to fight things? Like, as the mystic. And why am I using my book to investigate? And
Yeah,
now I
that's
look
right.
at this, and I'm like, this is weird.
I think she's like a solid B. Being able to get spells from anywhere is pretty nice, even if you have to pass a test for it. She's got like a decent, like the 3 influence is pretty sweet.
Yeah, she can go shopping
Her
really well.
2's not. Other stats are like dirt.
She starts
got
in
the Profane
London,
Tome to
which I
help
believe
with it.
spawns clues, so...
London does spawn clues, but it's also at fairly central locations, and like you can pretty easily get to anywhere on the board from it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
you
it's
can buy
just a
train
good place
tickets,
to
or
be.
you can buy boat tickets there, but you can also get train tickets at any of the cities that you can move to.
Man, there's so much information on this wiki. It's incredible.
I think the real strength of this investigator is the starting assets.
Yeah.
They're quite solid. Her text box itself is like not incredible, not terrible, but health is a finite resource. A very finite resource in this game.
Yeah, like luckily it's like actually also just like because there's the rest action, right? I'm not making that up. You can just rest
Yep.
to heal.
Yeah, you can just rest to heal one of each.
Yeah. Man, it's so weird seeing like brain low on this character. I'm with Travis on B. What do you think, Bryn?
Yeah, I don't think she's one of the best wizards in the game.
Yeah.
Like, her starting equipment is very strong, but that doesn't make her better than somebody like Norman Withers.
Yeah, I'd be happy to play her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so also for Weld, how we do these, whenever we give out our characters, we deal like 3, I think. And then
Yeah, we used to deal out 3,
Usually.
and then you get to pick one.
Yeah.
So then
like,
we weren't just dealt out 3, and it was just like, oh, cool, so we lose this run, hey?
Yeah, so this is how it also looks for like order in which we would choose them if we had them in front of us. Akachi. Her role is gate closer. She has 5 health, 7 sanity, 3 book, 2 handshake, 2 eye, 2 muscle, and 4 brain. Action. Look at the top 2 gates in the gate stack. Put 1 gate on top of the gate stack and the other on the bottom. When you close a gate during an otherworld encounter, you may move to any space containing a clue or a gate. She starts with 1 clue in Mists of Rella, which is during the encounter phase. You may test book. If you pass, you may choose an encounter as if there are no. You may choose an encounter as if there are no monsters on your space. So for people who've never played Eldritch, I want to ask first, why are you watching this video? But number 2, you have to fight monsters on your space before you get to do your encounter. And I believe if you don't kill them, you don't get your encounter.
This is correct.
Yeah. So that is a very helpful ability over there for her. What do we think of Akachi?
I think she's very, very good. She's like top of A or in S tier maybe. Being able to manipulate the gates and like know where they're gonna pop up is huge for Doom control.
Yeah. And then also the amount of movement that she gets when she's doing her job, which is just closing a gate, is really nice as well.
See.
I was going to say something very similar, like knowing where the gates are going to be is a huge deal. And,
Yeah, it really is in this game.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, being able to zip from one end of the world to the other just because you should probably be there is very powerful.
Yeah. So we think she's our first S tier?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. All right. Who's next? It's none other than Amanda Sharp, the student. She has 6 health, 6 sanity, 2 book, 3 handshake, 4 eye, 1 muscle, and 3 brain. Action. You may discard any number of talent conditions to improve 1 skill of your choice for each talent condition discarded. And if you would improve a skill, you may gain 1 talent condition instead. She starts with the Unspeakable Research unique asset, which is when you perform a rest action, you may delve deeper into the secrets of the Ancient Ones. Test your eye. If you pass, place 1 Eldritch token on this card. Then you may flip this card. Has a different effect depending on what's on the other side. And then quick study condition. Once per round, when you gain this card or another talent condition, you may gain 1 additional talent condition. If you do, flip this card.
So it's difficult to evaluate this character without knowing what the talent conditions do.
Let's see if the wiki has them.
But yeah, so most of the talents, they let you be better at a thing in exchange for a test and a possible cost associated with the outcome of that test.
Oh my god, they're all here.
Oh my god.
Traits. Talent.
She does do a good job of she does have like a neat play power where you just like sit your ass down in a place that boosts something, boosts one of your skills, and like use her 3 influence to try and buy things. And spend like a turn or 2 kind of gearing up the rest of your team can take care of things, and then just dump your instead of improving the skills, you take talents, and then you just dump the talents into the skill that you want.
So talents are they do everything. And look at all these. There's guts. It gives you +2 brain during a combat encounter.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there are all kinds of stuff, and that makes it a little difficult to evaluate. However, if you've got the ones that are good for the things that you need to do now, they're quite strong.
She starts in Istanbul.
She can
That's
also
handshake,
like
right?
she can also just like cycle her talents to the one that she wants, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. You can discard talents to get different talents.
So I think she's probably an A. She's got pretty solid. She's got a good stat line for anything except for fighting, which is fine.
Yep. Yeah, and like the research, she's gonna go around and grab clues. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. A for Amanda. That's the rule.
Them's the rules.
Ash Campete, he's Silas Marsh, but trains, I think. You'll understand what that means when we get to Silas Marsh. So, he has 7 health, 5 sanity, 3 book, 1 handshake, 3 eye, 3 fist, 3 brain, action, move 1 space along a train path, then perform 1 additional action. And after you perform an acquire assets action, you may gain 1 item or trinket asset with value less than your eye from the discard pile. He starts with Clue and, of course, Duke, which is once per round. You may reroll 1 die when resolving a test. When you perform a rest action, recover 1 additional sanity.
Good boy, Duke.
Yeah. That seems like a lot of good. He does start in Scandinavia, but I imagine there's a lot of railroads around there.
Yes. Yeah. It's honestly probably the only reason that he starts out there.
Yeah.
Because that's where the railroads are.
Yeah.
Having only 3s is not incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a pretty good stat line.
Yeah, like it's not terrible. It just means that you're not like good at anything.
Well, like I mean, yeah, but statistically, you should be passing every unmodified test that isn't a handshake.
Mm-hmm. And then you do also get a reroll with Duke, which is like always nice.
Yes. Yeah. No. The reroll on Duke is very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So it means that like once per round you can be effectively 4 at a thing.
Yep.
I think to me he's like top of B tier because he only really starts to get good when you have the right other investigators on your team.
I can agree with that.
But when he's good, he's good. Like there are several investigators who are allowed to just discard assets from the pile for pretty close to free.
Yeah, because then when you like, if you get your eye up and you can just like grab 3 cost items, right?
Yeah, even if you're just like grabbing all kinds of 2-costed stuff,
Still
you
good.
can get all kinds of effects off that.
Also, like the move space and then perform an additional action. Extra movement's like usually always good in Eldritch, and like the only thing is it sometimes gets awkward when you're like it's like same with Silas where you have to go to the other half of the board and then your ability's kind of just gone. But I still think I'm with you. I'm with you with B.
Yeah, like he has a lot of potential, but it takes a little more work to get to it than I'd like.
Unlike our other tier list, this one we're not going to be ordering them in this. We're just going to give them a letter grade and then celebrate for them. I think it's Bob Jenkins next.
Bob Jenkins.
The salesman. 7 health, 5 sanity, 2 book, 4 handshake, 2 eye, 3 sexy muscles, and 2 brain. Action. You may trade any number of item or trinket possessions with another investigator on any space. And when you perform an acquire assets action, reduce the value of each card in the reserve by 1 to a minimum of 1. He starts with the Winchester rifle, which is once per round you get +4 muscle in a combat encounter.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Why the heck not, right?
Sometimes people are like, I don't want to buy a vacuum cleaner, and you need to persuade them otherwise.
Yeah, you need to bring out the Winchester.
I think he's actually S tier though.
He is quite strong.
Yeah.
He's got effectively 5 handshake.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like 4 handshake and like a free success, I guess.
Yeah.
It's better than that.
Yeah.
And you can just... He's like Charlie Kane, but different.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Charlie Kane is also... I'll always pick Charlie Kane. And when they can give item assets to other people and you're just kind of like the asset dog, right? It's like, you're good. And then you still have your Winchester for some reason, which lets you attack at 7.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. And I also think he also starts in London, which I think is because then you're still impacting the board through your encounters, not like Charlie Kane wrangling elephants. But I mean, Charlie Kane is also very good. We're gonna get to him.
Oh yeah, Charlie Kane is like, I've won more with Charlie Kane on my team than any other investigator.
I think it does really push up your win rate if Charlie Kane's on your team. All right, Calvin Wright. This one's also from the last expansion, so we won't know much about him. But he is an all-rounder, 7/7, 3/3/3/3/1 for his stats. Action: you may trade any amount of health and/or sanity with another investigator on any space, then perform one additional action. If you would impair a skill or discard an improvement token, you may recover 1 health and 1 sanity instead. He starts with literally like everything. He starts with a Spirit Dagger, a Corruption condition, a Clue, and a Resource. So the Spirit Daggers gain +1 Brain and +2 Fist during combat encounters. And the Corruption is a card which is you may gain 1 Eldritch token to reroll 1 die when resolving a test. If you would gain a boon, discard this card instead, and then gain 1 Eldritch token, then flip this card, and I believe it punishes you depending on the number of Eldritch tokens that are on the card.
This is true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, like, keeping people alive is good.
It is good.
He has 3 fists. Like, it's kind of like Ash Campete, where you can kind of just, like, exactly as the role over here says, all-rounder. He'll just get stuff done. But I don't think he does anything particularly wonderful. I mean, keeping people alive may be worth a lot, and I may be undervaluing that. What do you guys think?
So the one brain means that he can't fight well.
Yep.
Like, sure, he does have 3 in his strength score, but you can only be, eating sanity damage for so long.
Yeah.
I bet there are some, like, I bet he's pretty solid. Like, even if all you're doing is, sitting there and being like, I take rest actions for this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll rest so you don't have to.
Like, that's probably pretty strong.
Because this action essentially means, like, take damage from another person and then heal that action with that damage with a rest action.
Yeah, it starts to get even better if you have any of the assets that allow you to heal additional.
Yes. Yeah.
On your rest actions. I bet he's pretty solid.
Should we put him do we put him in the A tier? Do we think that's good enough? I feel like yeah.
Yeah, I might put him in the B tier because he actually doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun to play.
Sure, that's fair. That's fair.
But like that doesn't necessarily mean he's bad.
Yeah.
I put him in the B tier because I don't think he's quite as good as you guys do, I think.
Cool. All right. Carolyn Fern. She has 5 health, 7 sanity, 2, 3, 2, 2, 4 across her stats. Action: you or another investigator in your space may discard 1 madness condition or perform a rest action. When another investigator performs a rest action in your space, they gain 1 additional sanity. She starts with the Dream Diary asset and the Death 13 unique asset. The Dream Diary is gain +1 book during otherworld encounters, and when you perform a rest action, spawn 1 clue. And the Death 13 is double-sided. Whenever mystery is solved, retreat doom by 1. So mystery is the objective of the game. You need to solve, like, usually on average 3 to win.
She's like pretty good.
She seems like a better Calvin Wright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think A tier is just where she lives. I think her stat, like her... I mean, she gets the +1 book during otherworld encounters. Yeah, I think just A tier. I think just A tier. We have to go with our guts here. Carson Sinclair. Who's this guy? The butler.
Oh. Yeah, he's new. I think he was initially in Mansions of Madness.
Mansions of Madness, yeah.
Yeah.
This guy we have no lore about. No PPG lore, I mean.
I've played him once in Mansions of Madness.
Alright. The butler.
And yeah.
6'6", 3323 for his stats. He starts with the Lucky Cigarette Case and a clue. His action is perform a trade action, then perform 1 additional action. Whenever you or another investigator in your space performs a prepare for travel action, that investigator gains an additional travel ticket of their choice. And the lucky cigarette case is once per round you may add 1 to the result of 1 die when resolving a test. It's a good trinket. It's a good item.
The cigarettes are real strong.
Yeah. Getting extra tickets also is kind of nice. I forget, can you spend multiple travel tickets in one move?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, you can. All right. I don't know. Lucky cigarette case is very notable. He can give it to someone else with a better as well, who can benefit from it more.
But why
free.
would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's just, for me, his quote is "Think of the children." All right, Carson. Okay. Probably just B.
Yeah, cigarette case is strong, but the rest of his ability is like kind of meh.
Yeah.
Agree.
All right, Charlie Kane, the big guy.
Oh, straight to the tippity top. We don't even need to look at the rest.
So, for reference for what this guy does, for those who don't know, he has, as another investigator of your choice may immediately perform 1 additional action as an action, and then whenever you perform and acquire assets action, you may allow other investigators to gain any cards you purchase. He starts with 4 influence, which you use to buy things, and he also has a personal assistant, which gives him +1 handshake, and he may reroll 1 die when resolving a handshake test. You just buy items for people, and then if you can give your actions to other people. Like, your game is, you don't leave San Francisco, right? Until, probably the point where everyone's kitted out, and then you just go and start doing your journey. But...
Yeah, unless you have, an easy way to get to Istanbul.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tippity top. We usually, if someone has him, they usually choose him. He's just very good.
Yeah, usually when he's on the team, we win.
Yep.
He's very powerful.
Daisy Walker. 5-7 for health and sanity, 4-3-2-1-3 for her stats. Action, if you're on a city space, test observation, which is your eye. If you pass, gain 1 tome asset from the reserve or 1 random tome asset from the deck. When you perform a rest action, you may perform 1 additional action on a ritual or tome possession you have. She starts with the Old Journal unique asset, which is test eye. If you pass, discover information that may provide useful to your cause. Flip this card, it has an effect on the other side. And then Arcane Insight is action. Choose yourself or another investigator on any space. Test book -2. Roll 1 additional die for each tome possession you have. If you pass, that investigator gains 1 clue, then flip this card. I mean, the old journals are usually bangers. They usually do something good, and she can just do it passively, which is a lot better than spending the time to do it.
She's got a pretty good stat line again.
Yeah, good stat line. 4 book means that, cast spells. 3 brain as well.
Yes.
Maybe just B tier? I don't think she's up here in the A tier.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
She's one of the ones that I'm always happy to roll after I die partway through.
Agreed, yeah.
Because her starting gear is often valuable.
Yeah.
If the old journal isn't helpful, you're probably winning the game.
Alright. Daniella. Action. She's also from the last expansion. 7-5, 3-3-1-3-3. That's a nice stat line. Action. You may spend any number of resources to gain an equal amount of clues. Once per round, after you perform an acquire assets action or a rest action, you may gain 1 resource. So resources are, they represent physical goods that aid the investigator. Wow. Can have 2 of them. They may be spent during a rest to recover additional health or sanity, and during an acquire assets action, they may be spent for automatic successes. She starts with a headstrong talent, a clue, and a resource. And headstrong is, once per round, when you lose sanity, you may test brain. If you pass, prevent the loss of up to 2 sanity, then flip this card.
So the usual other side of headstrong causes you to take horror.
Okay.
Typically. Because obviously you can't just not take damage for free. that being said, it's like pretty good.
Yeah, and she also has a way to get like testless clues, which is also really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's just an A tier. I think she's better than these guys. Poor Carson. Daryl Simmons, the photographer.
I'm excited for him in the other game.
Me too, me too. 7-5, 1 book, 3 handshake, 4 eye, 2 muscle, 3 brain. Action. Look at the top 5 cards of the asset deck and put them back in any order, then discard any number of cards from the reserve. What does it have to do with photography? Roll 1 additional die when resolving a test during a location encounter or a research encounter if you're on a city space. Well, that's pretty nice. Has a camera. Oh, that's why he's a photographer. Camera is once per round. When you spend a clue, you may gain 1 clue. And Seek the Truth is whenever you gain a clue and during a research encounter, spawn 1 clue, then you may spend 3 clues and discard this card to advance the active mystery by 1.
Yeah. Yeah. Is 3 clues better than advancing the active mystery by 1? It depends entirely on what the active mystery is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes that card is just not good.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's good, it's good.
The rolling 1 additional die when you're on a city space during a location or research encounter are always like just nice. His action, I like if someone kept doing that, like if they did that more than once, I'd be like, okay, you gotta do something.
Play the game, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. It depends what your team looks like, I think, to an extent, right? Like if somebody really needs to find a weapon because they're a fighter but don't start with one, you can just keep firing this up and being like everything that's in the reserve that isn't a weapon or doesn't help us right now, yeah, that's gone.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is one of the investigators who enables Ash Campete.
Yep. Yeah. I think the camera's also kind of sick, just because like a free clue after you spend clues is also just nice. What do you think, Bryn? Where should we put him?
I think he could live like at highest the bottom of A tier.
All right, good job, Daryl. I'm for it. I'm for it.
Yeah, like he's not incredible, but if you don't have a Charlie Kane.
You can go Charlie Kane Light. All right, here's Dexter Drake before Bryn, like when Bryn was still cursed by Dexter. So he has 5 health, 7 sanity, 4, 2, 2, 2, 3 for his stats. His action is move 1 monster from your space to another space containing a gate. Once per round, when you gain a spell, you may gain an additional spell. And he starts with Binding, which is when you or another investigator on any space resolve a combat encounter. You may test Book. If you pass, reduce that monster's damage to 1 during that encounter. And Arcane Assistant, roll 1 additional die when resolving a book test as part of a spell effect.
It's like not very good, I don't think.
Yeah.
He is like one of the good Merlins. The downside to him is that you pick him and then you don't do anything and then you die.
That does seem like a pretty big downside.
At least in my experience.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a character I want to play.
Yeah.
But when you gain a spell, gain an extra spell.
Yeah,
that is incredibly powerful.
That is nice, yeah.
Yeah, but you don't have a native way to actually gain spells is the issue.
Yeah, but that's cool. You just hang out in Arkham, which is admittedly on the other side of the world. So like
I'm gonna
that is the main
2 turns moving to Arkham, and then I'm gonna sit there for 3 more turns. It'd be more, man. It'd be like 2 turns to Buenos Aires. I'm gonna spend 3 turns, 4 turns getting to Arkham.
You could spend your time in Buenos Aires instead. Like that will function almost identically. Because Buenos Aires is also gain spells.
Yeah.
Through encounter.
I still don't really like him. It's too much set for my taste.
Yeah, I know that like every time that I've played him like 4 or 5 times in Arkham, and every single time I play like 3 turns, get to just about where I want, and then explode.
Yeah,
So
I've
there is
also
that.
never been impressed by Dexter. I personally want to put him as our first C tier, but that also might just be because of the curse I've seen Bryn have to go through for that.
Yeah, like I think he's
I
better
also
than
vote
what
for
I've
C
done
tier.
with him,
Yeah.
but admittedly, all of our evidence would point to him not being very good.
All right. Well, we'll do it. And once again, this is
So
our tier list, how we perceive the characters. All right. Diana Stanley. She is next. She is 7'5", 4'2", 3'3", 1. That's a nice stat line. Action. If there's a cultist monster on your space, discard all their monsters on your space or move the cultist monster to any other space. And reduce the horror of monsters you encounter to 1, which is good because you're going to be taking a lot of horror. Her special assets, her starting equipment, are the Arcane Manuscripts, which is gain +1 when resolving spell effects, +1 book. And then Wither. When resolving a combat encounter, you may test book. If you pass, gain +3 muscle during this encounter, and then flip this card.
It's flex, Justin.
It's what we used to call it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know they all have names, but I don't actually know what they are.
No.
They're probably
And I'm not
stupid.
going to learn.
Yeah.
I'm not going to learn. I think if you're playing against the right ancient one,
Yeah.
she's S tier.
Yeah.
And if you're not, she's probably somewhere in the B tier.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
Like, taking less horror from monsters is very strong. Because, you got a wither spell. So,
Yeah. You go against anyone that's like themed around cultists, though. Oh my god. Like they all have cultists.
yeah. Yeah, like if you're playing her against like Shubby, like, oh man, he's not winning.
Yeah. She just kills them all.
Yeah, you just show up and they're like, well, if there's too many monsters on the space that the cultists spawn on, you lose. And you're like, I will live.
What the frick does Father Mateo do? He's the priest, 5'7", 3'3", 1'2", 4 for his stats. Action, give one of your boon conditions to another investigator on any space. When you close a gate during an otherworld encounter, if you do not have a boon condition, gain a boon condition. So we're going to look at these boon conditions in a second, because that'll help determine this. But his other starting asset is the King James Bible, which is you may reroll 1 die when resolving a brain test during a combat encounter. And when you perform a rest action, recover 1 additional sanity. So for boons, Blessing is one of them, which is really good, because it allows you to succeed on a 4, 5, or a 6 instead of just a 5 and a 6. It also has Righteous, which grants here. Let me open the actual card pictures. Composed, right? Righteous was you perform a focused or rest action, gain 1 focus or recover 1 sanity. Living Link is gain +1 to all skills. If you would gain a Bane condition, you may discard this card instead, and your destiny awaits on a reckoning. Flip this card. That's metal as hell. And then Composed. When resolving a test, if you do not roll any 1s, you may reroll all of your dice. When you fail a test, flip this card.
Yeah, so the power on Righteous is not on the front side, but on the back side. On the Reckoning, when you flip it, you get to do something like really cool and then discard the Righteous.
Yeah.
What is it going to do? Unless you've looked at the other side, you can't tell.
It's true.
Because there's several different ones, but they're all strong. There's not a bad one of the bunch.
Yeah, situationally that can be disappointing.
Yeah, it's true. But the
Yeah. I suppose in a perfect world, with Father Mateo, what you get are blessings, and you give you give your blessing immediately to someone else, and then you just keep getting more blessings and giving them to the person with the blessing, and being like, "Oh no, flip your blessing!"
Yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of a dream.
Like, in a perfect world.
Where do we think this guy sits? Because, I mean, like, boons for doing your job is nice. Giving those boons to other people is also nice. But
Yeah.
you got to find a good way to get across the board to really be
Yeah.
able to keep closing gates.
Yeah, you're gonna need to move around a lot,
Yeah.
and also your numbers aren't incredible. They're not bad.
The only stat he's got that's bad for gate closing is the eye.
Eyeball.
The eye, yeah.
Yeah. And you do have to find a way to make that, make the gates actually close.
Yeah. Maybe beauty B? I think we're not too hot on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Oh, Finn, what are you doing this game? Finn Edwards! Oh, George Barnaby's after this? Let's go.
Oh,
Alright.
man.
6 health, 6 sanity, 2-3-3-2-3 for his skills. Abilities. Action. You or another investigator on a ship may move one space along a ship. You and or another investigator on your space may move one space along a ship or a train path. Effects cannot cause you to discard item, trinket, or ally possessions unless you choose to. He starts with a bunch of assets. He starts with Cat Bug, Whiskey, and Courier Run. So Cat Burglar is action, roll 1 die on a 5 or 6, gain 1 item or trinket asset from the reserve. On a 1, discard this card. Oh, no.
Or don't.
Or don't, yeah. You may discard this card to prevent an investigator on your space from losing 2 sanity. That's Whiskey. And Courier Run, man, this guy's just all flavor forward. Courier Run is when you gain this card from the deck, place 1 random clue that corresponds to a city face up on this card. After resolving a location encounter on that space, flip this card. I love cards like this, even though it just basically, like, you end up ignoring the game for a chunk of it to solve it if you get really focused in on it. He seems like not exceptionally good.
He does have a very powerful take on the Silas Marsh ability.
Yes. I mean, just moving someone is nice.
Yeah, like you can move both yourself and someone else, and you can even move you don't need to move along the same ship or train path.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So anytime that you're handing out free actions, they don't actually need to be that strong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his numbers are
Yeah.
He has one.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a 1. He's got 2 2s instead, which is like a 2 and a 1 are not really that different.
Yeah. God, I remember when we played after playing Eldritch for a long time, and then we played Arkham, and I did a test, and I passed, and I was waiting for Travis to tell me what I got. And he's like, no. In 2nd edition, it only matters. Like, in Eldritch, you get something if you succeed. And in Arkham 2nd, it was you only get something if you fail.
Yeah.
And that, I was like, what?
Yeah, you're just trying not to fail.
What do we think? B for Finn?
I think he's like top of B though.
All right.
Like he's a good B tier investigator.
I said I wasn't going to do this, but I'll put him there just because we like Finn. All right, yeah. George Barnaby, the man who
commits suicide in Antarctica.
Yeah. All right, 4-8 for health and sanity. His skills are 3-4-2-1-3. His action, test handshake. For each success, another investigator of your choice may discard a debt or a detained condition. Once per round, you may spend 1 focus to add 1 to the result of 1 die when resolving a test. He has an investment and a pocket watch. Investment is your investments have paid off on the reckoning. You may discard this to gain a funding condition. So funding is you may discard this card in place of gaining a debt or to discard a debt condition. If you're on a city space, you may flip this card. And then pocket watch is you cannot become delayed unless you choose to.
Huh.
He's like a Charlie Kane light.
No, this dude's garbage. You just go shoot yourself.
Like you do. You're right. But
like
if you don't have a Charlie Kane, he's pretty alright. Being able to spend your focus to add 1 to the result of a die rather than reroll a die.
Yeah, is nice.
Very
nice.
strong.
I think I'd choose him over Dexter. I mean, 4 handshake can get you into a very good spot, right?
It definitely can.
Yeah, I don't think he's A tier. I think he's B tier.
Yeah, you could put him in the D tier for dead. Because
it might skew our tier list a bit. Everyone's like, why is he in the D tier? It's like dead. And it's like, oh, that doesn't make sense. And we're like, yeah, it does. It makes tons of sense.
Gloria... Of course it makes sense. What do you mean it doesn't make sense? You don't make sense.
Gloria Goldberg. She has 4-8 for health and sanity. Her skills are 3-3-3-1-3. Action. If you're on a city space, gain 1 tome asset of your choice from the reserve or discard pile. You or another investigator on your space roll 1 additional die when resolving a test during an otherworld encounter. She has the Mythos Codex, which allows you to... You muster the courage to look upon the secrets of the universe. Test Brain. That's an action. If you pass, the pages contain knowledge your mind can hardly fathom. Flip this card. And then 5 gate. Sorry, find gate, not... play with the top gate of the gate stack revealed.
She's got 4s in Otherworld encounters.
Yes, she also has that Akachi thing where when you know,
Yeah.
like you can't like manipulate the gate stack, but you can like build a plan for it, which is really nice.
Mhm.
She also just gets to take things from the reserve.
Yep.
That's like pretty good.
Do we think
It's
she
pretty
is?
good.
Her stats are also really good. A tier?
Yeah, I mean, like 4s are a hell of a drug, right?
Yeah. And I think what keeps
Yeah.
her, for people who are wondering what keeps her below Akachi, is Akachi has that movement built into her kit in addition to gate manipulation. So, hard to compete with that. Hank Sampson, where's my par? So he has 8-4 for his health and sanity. 1 book, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. Action, test your flex. If you pass, discard 1 monster in your space with toughness less than or equal to your test result. You do not resolve the brain test during a combat encounter unless you lose health from the strength test. He starts with the sledgehammer, which is just gain +1 flex and gain +2 flex during combat encounters. So he has 5 flex actually.
He's like, I think he's one of the better monster fighters in the game.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Like, I would be willing to put this guy in the S tier, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Like, he is very strong.
Wow, congratulations, Hank.
Where's his par?
There's his par. Rob many people's par. Alright. Harvey Walters. Hey, this guy. He draws cards. 4-8, 3-2, 3-2, 3. Action. Another investigator in your space improves 1 skill of his choice if your value for that skill is equal to or higher than his. And after resolving a research encounter, you may spend 1 clue you gain from that encounter to improve a skill of your choice. He starts with Ancient Tome, which is you study the words of the long dead language book. If you pass, you may spend 1 sanity to gain 1 clue, spell, or task unique asset.
So task unique assets are incredibly powerful.
Yes.
If you complete them.
Yes.
Ranging in effect from, like, give everyone every item they've ever wanted to, like, pretty close to win the game.
He can get that task also, like, on the first turn.
In theory.
In theory, yes. He is doing a 3 test for it.
I think his other ability is like much more important.
I do like the idea of just having him show up and teach one of your 1 number investigate. Like, no, you with your eyes.
Yeah.
Look with your eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Where do we want to put Harvey? Where do we think he sits?
Oh,
Probably like is it like
I think he's a B or an A.
Yeah. I think he hangs out with these people in the B.
He doesn't
tier.
do a great job on his own, but if you can get someone else juiced up in the early game, it's really good.
Yeah. Jacqueline Fine. 4-8 split for health sanity. She has 4-2, 3-1-3 for her stats. Action, you may trade any number of clues with an investigator on any space. And once per round, when another investigator gains a non-common condition, you may look at the back of that card and gain 1 clue. Flesh Ward is her spell, which is once per round, when an investigator would lose health, you may test book. If you pass, prevent that investigator from losing 2 health, then flip this card. Free clues. People are going to gain conditions. People are just going to get amnesia. It just happens in this game.
Yeah, there are also some conditions that, when you know what the other side is, become much, much better.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Jacqueline's pretty good.
Yeah. A tier?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think we're hotter on her.
Free clues is pretty sick.
Free clues is pretty sick. Jenny Barnes. Is she rich in this game? Let's find out.
Yeah.
7514233. Action. You or another investigator in a city space may perform and acquire assets action and gain +2 handshake for that action. Once per round, when you or another investigator gains a deck condition, that investigator may discard that condition. And she gets a bunch of stuff. She gets 25 automatic, fine jewelry, and a ship ticket. 25 automatic is roll 1 additional die when resolving a flex test during a combat encounter. And fine jewelry is you may add 1 to the result of die when performing a handshake test during an acquire assets action. She seems good.
Yeah, she's just a different flavor of Charlie Kane Light.
Yeah.
Does she sit with the others up here, do we think?
If you have a Charlie Kane, you just have won the game. Because he can now shop twice, once at 6.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I think she's
like,
good.
yeah, she is probably one of the better ones.
We usually have that thing where, like, someone says, I have a Jenny, does anyone have a Charlie? And then no one says no, it's like, okay, I'll play Jenny.
Like, still play Jenny, though.
Yeah. Jim Culver. This is the guy that inspired this when we said, is he also bad in Eldritch? Let's find out. 7-5 for health sanity, 3-3-2-2-3 for his skills. Action. Each investigator in your space recovers 1 sanity, and investigators on your space roll 1 additional die when resolving tests during combat encounters. He starts with Shriveling and a clue. Shriveling is test. Book. If you pass, choose a monster on your space to lose 2 health. Flip this card. That's a little bit awkward because it's not a combat encounter.
This is true.
But I mean, like, you do get a test for both the brain check and the flex check with Jim, which is nice value.
Yeah. So you know, like those anglerfish that live way down in near the bottom of the ocean. The male anglerfish actually just attaches itself to the, like, no longer exists as a separate entity.
Yeah.
This is Jim Culver. Like, you are gonna spend your entire game basically joined at the hip with your fighter.
Yeah.
And that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah, it's not particularly fun, but
yeah, it's not a glamorous life. Will it help you win more? Probably.
And you'll get a feel like you're helping the whole time, at least.
Yeah.
Probably B tier. Doesn't do enough.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would never choose to play him.
Yep. Poor Jim. Joe Diamond, the private investigator, 7-5 for health and sanity, 2-3-4-2-2 for his skills. Action. Choose ally, service, or weapon, then discard 1 asset from the reserve and place it with 1 random asset from the deck that has the chosen trait. Once per round, when you improve a skill, also improve 1 other skill of your choice. Weird. Coldpocket 32. Roll 1 additional die when resolving a flex during a combat encounter. You may reroll 1 die when resolving a flex test during a combat encounter.
It's just good.
Just good.
The reason that it's good is because you cannot stack bonuses to a stat. But rolling an extra die isn't a bonus to a stat.
Yep.
So you can use that weapon with, like, the Winchester or something.
Yeah, and you start on San Francisco, you go shopping for a bit, you upgrade your eye to upgrade your flex, you upgrade your eye to upgrade your flex, and then you just go and hit the ground running.
Yeah, 6 eyeball is also, like, very strong. It doesn't seem like it should be, but it is. It will be by the end of the game.
I mean, just like the improve 1, when you improve 1, improve another is like, that's value, baby. You just, like, hit the roof of it. This guy can fit so many improvement skills.
This bad boy.
I think he's A. He excites me more than, like, all of these guys.
Yeah. Getting to improve your numbers is always a strong thing.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Who is next? Why, it's none other than Kate Winthrop, the scientist.
Kate Winthrop, she's a dog.
She is a dog, but she has turned back into a human. It's like The Fly, but, cuter. 5-7. Skills are 3-2-4-2-2. Action. If you're on a space containing a gate, discard 1 monster on your space with toughness less than your eye. So that pretty much, like, reads most of the time, just kill a monster. If a gate would spawn in your space, discard that gate and gain 1 clue instead. Dimensional Study, unique asset, which is once per round when a gate is closed or discarded, you may spend 1 clue to place 1 clue on this card. Then you may flip this card.
Akachi is her best friend.
Akachi, even Gloria, they're great friends too.
Yeah.
Probably A tier, right?
Yeah, like how many gates do you need to block from spawning and gain a clue instead for this to be good?
If you do it once, I'm the happiest person on the planet.
Yeah, like if it happens once, that's sick.
If it happens, like if you can plan it, you want to do it like 3 times. If it happens once blind, you'll feel incredible. Leo Anderson. He is a 6/6 split, 2/2, 3/3/3. Action, test handshake. If you pass, gain 1 ally asset of your choice from the reserve or the discard pile. If you're on a wilderness space, investigators on your space roll 1 additional die when resolving tests. Yeah. Hired muscle. He gets +1 flex. You may reroll 1 die when resolving a flex test. So that is nice. Like that is hired muscle is really nice. Wilderness space. I think this guy's kind of like Diana, where certain ancient ones he has a much better time with. Like if you're going up against Yig. Or even like a Thakwa. I believe a Thakwa has a lot of wilderness stuff. He's really good there. But I think otherwise he's kind of poopy.
He's not incredible. No, he's incredibly dependent on the reserve to have things that he wants.
Yeah.
That being said, if you get to grab any of the 4 costed out by succeeding
that's nice.
Handshake test, that you get to test at 3 because you're probably in the wilderness. Like that doesn't suck.
Come join my expedition. That does seem good.
Yeah. So I think to me he's like a C tier investigator. Like if you've got the right team, or you get kind of lucky, he's really good.
Yes. Yeah, and especially once again, like ancient ones really improve his power level too.
Yeah. Yeah, he needs a few too many things to be going right for him.
Yeah, because if I'm facing Yig, I'll choose Leo pretty consistently. Lily Chen. Hey, 6/6 for health and sanity, 2/2/2/4/3. Action, spend any number of health or sanity, then recover an equal number of health or sanity. When you improve a skill, you may immediately prove that skill again. Let's go. She starts with the Protective Amulet, which is gain +1 brain during combat encounters. And the Lucky Rabbit's Foot is once per round, you may reroll 1 die when resolving a test. Wow.
They're just good.
She starts in Shanghai, which is the book upgrade.
Yeah, the real thing that does.
But you're like really close to Australia.
Yeah, it starts you next to Australia.
I think she might be like S, right? Like she's very good.
She is very good, yes.
Lola Hayes.
She
like
can't
this
be worse in this game,
possibly
right?
Inspired by Street Fighter character Chun-Li. This is you can't just say possibly and say that's a. Right.
Yeah, but you also can't claim definitely.
It's true. It's true. All right, Lola Hayes, 5/7, 2/4/2/2/3 for her skills. Action: spend any number of improvement tokens that improve 1 skill of your choice for each token spent. A +2 token counts as 2 tokens. Once per round, an investigator on your space may roll 1 additional die when resolving a test. Her starting equipment is the 18 Derringer, and she can also improve a skill of her choice to start. 18 Derringers, you may add 1 to the result of 1 die when resolving a flex test during a combat encounter.
So we're not ranking her versus her card game component, right? Because if we are, then she's S tier. This is so much better.
It is so much better. No, we're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing that in the future when we finished our 2nd edition tier list. Then we're going to look at them all collectively. So not yet. This is just her in this world.
Yeah, I mean, like her stuff all seems good.
Yeah.
You just get to shuffle your improvement tokens around however you like.
Yep.
Yep.
A tier.
Yeah.
Good job, Lola. You've done it. Her name's finally written in the lights. Luke Robinson. 4 health, 8 sanity, 4/2/1/2/4. He starts with the Dreambox asset, which I'll get to in a second. He also starts with a clue. As an action, move to a space containing a gate that corresponds to the current omen. During the encounter phase, you may spend 1 focus or 1 sanity to encounter a gate on your space as if there are no monsters on your space. It's all sounding incredible so far. A dream box, sorry, is when you close a gate during another world encounter, gain 1 focus. If that gate corresponds to the current omen, recover 1 sanity. Man, if only there was a way to easily get to the gate that corresponded with the current omen, huh?
If only.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to say S tier. What do you guys think?
This stupid pajama guy is just always good.
Yeah. His eye is a little, like, notably a little bit awkward, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's possible to work around. And his abilities otherwise are just so good.
Mm-hmm.
I love this skill line.
Yeah.
All right, I'm saying S. What do you guys think? Luke?
Yeah, I think being it like the movement ability there is like how many turns for somebody else?
Yeah. It's true. It's true. Man. All right. Mandy Thompson. Where are you? Here you are. 5'7" for her health and sanity. 33412 for her skills. Ooh, look at this. Her occupation is the researcher, and her role is research. They've done it. Action. Draw 2 clues from the clue pool. Spawn 1 of them and discard the other. After resolving a research encounter, if you gain exactly 1 clue from that encounter, gain an additional clue. She starts with the magnifying glass and the know thy enemy. Magnifying glass is once per round, you or another investigator on your space may spend 1 clue to reroll any number of dice when resolving a test. And know thy enemy is whenever you gain a clue during a research encounter, place 1 Eldritch token on this card, then you may flip this card.
I think she's good, but not great.
Yeah, she seems good here too. I think she lives in the A tier.
Yeah, I think that's not unfair. Like being able to spawn clues on command if you see the right set of mysteries.
Yep, it's very helpful.
That's real strong.
Yeah, on command and in the most advantageous positions.
Yeah, and not just random ones, like the better one.
Yeah, her stat line's also incredible. And in most research encounters you gain 1 clue.
This is true. Yeah, if you're gaining more than 1 clue from a researching, it doesn't matter if...
Yeah.
It doesn't happen too often.
Mm-hmm. It does not.
Marie Lambeau. Magic. The Entertainer. 6/6 for health and sanity. 3/4/2/2/2 for her stats. Action. Perform an action you have already performed this round. If you would spend or lose sanity as part of a spell effect, you may spend or lose 1 fewer sanity as part of that spell effect. She has the Ritual Dagger, which is once per round you may gain 1 book when resolving a spell effect or +2 flex when resolving a combat. And Voice of Ra is a Glamour. Once per round during the action phase, you may spend 1 health and 1 sanity to perform 1 additional action. Test book and flip this card on the Reckonings.
Voice of Ra is real good.
Voice of Ra is very good.
Mm-hmm.
Even better when it only costs a heart to use.
Yep. Yeah.
So there's that.
Shopping twice a turn at 4 also sounds really nice.
Mm-hmm.
She seems sick. A tier? Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, sure.
I can't fathom putting her in B tier.
Resting twice in 1 turn.
Never stop sleeping. Mr. Mark Harrigan. 8/4 for his health and sanity. 1/2/2/4/4. His action is you and 1 monster in your space each lose 1 health. You cannot become delayed or gain detained condition unless you choose to. They're too scared to arrest you. He starts with a 38 revolver and kerosene. The 38 revolver is +2 flex during combat encounters. And his kerosene is you may discard this card to gain +5 flex during a combat encounter.
Yeah, I would put this guy in the S tier for sexy. Yeah, his really ability can be very good.
Yeah.
I do really love the idea of the police being like, "You're under arrest," and him being like, "I'll light you on fire."
And they're like, okay.
I'm like, whoa, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, Chief. We tried to arrest that guy.
His 4 sanity is scary. What do you think, Travis? Where do you think Mark sits?
He's probably like A in this game. Again, he's got a pretty good stat line. He's like good.
Yeah, but I think I'm kind of also in A. I do think he deserves S for sexy, but I think if I had to strip past my bias, I think A is kind of where he sits.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I ever try to move past my own bias?
It's a great question.
Michael McGlenn. Action. If you're on a city space, you may gain 1 item or service asset of your choice from the reserve. If you do gain a wanded condition, I'll get that open as a tab. Once per round, you may reroll 1 die when resolving a deal or pursuit condition. Deals include dark packs, do they? Yes, they do.
Yeah.
That seems at least nice. He has 8-4 health sanity. His skills are 2, 3, 1, 4, 3. And he starts with the Tommy gun, baby. Tommy gun is gained +4 during combat encounters. That do be a big number. One is you cannot perform acquire assets actions, and when you perform a travel action, you may roll 1 die. On a 4, 5, or 6, discard this card. Reckoning test I. If you fail, flip this card. And look, he's very bad at seeing when the cops are after him. He's very good at avoiding his pursuits, though.
This is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see why you would ever want to perform an acquire assets action again when you could just steal the thing you wanted.
Yeah. And I mean, like, attacking it. Like, his 4 sanity is kind of spooky.
But you get to start at 8 punch.
You get to start at 8 punch. Like, and you can rest in this game. So just like, I mean, there are Mythos cards that just deal you 3 damage. So, like, you take 1 sanity and then you're suddenly on the edge of extinction. But
yeah.
I don't think he's B. I think his numbers are just too good. I want to put him in A. Rat-tat-tat-tat-tat.
He does get to start with big goddamn number.
Big goddamn number. Minty Fan. Oh, I fell in love with Min in this game. 6-6 for health and sanity. 3-3-3-2-2 for her stats. Action. You and another investigator in your space each gain 1 travel ticket of your choice. You and another investigator in your space each gain +1 to all skills if there is another investigator on your space or you have 1 or more ally assets. She starts with a cryptic text unique asset, which is when you attempt to decipher a cryptic message in the text I. If you pass, you uncover secrets that could alter the fate of humanity. Flip this card. I mean, as soon as there's an ally in the reserve, you just buy it as Min, and then your stats are now 4-4-4-3-3.
Yes.
I think that's just A tier.
Yeah, she's like Jim Culver, but good.
Yeah, she's like Jim Culver, but good.
Poor Jim.
Honorary Jack.
The Cheese Man.
The Cheese Man. 7-5 for health and sanity. 2-2-3-4-2. Action. You may discard 1 artifact, retreat Doom by 1, or discard the top card of the expedition encounter deck and perform 1 additional action. After resolving an expedition encounter, gain 1 relic unique asset. So the expedition encounters are a deck that they change where they are on the board, and they're usually in harder to reach places until you get some expansions, in which case they might just be on Shanghai, which is kind of sick if that happens. He has a Bullwhip and a Treasure Map unique asset. The Bullwhip is gain +1 flex during combat encounters, and you may re-roll 1 die when resolving a flex test during a combat encounter. Treasure Map, when you gain this card from the deck, place 1 random clue face up on this card. After resolving a location encounter or an expedition encounter on that space, flip this card. Artifacts, as well, are items that you get most often through expedition encounters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mario Jack is like real good when you're just gonna go do something else and make your teammates kind of mad at you.
It's true. It is true.
Yeah, he also, like, there are some ancient ones that he's just incredibly good against.
Do we put him... I feel like he sits in the same spot that Liyue does, right? Because, like, these abilities are rarely, if ever, going to happen. Like, unless you're, like, seeking them out, right? Like, expeditions are cool, but you're very rarely, like, being like, all right, guys, we need to solve the expeditions. However, if you are, Monterey Jack becomes really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, who is next?
I particularly enjoyed the idea of the characters where you just kind of do your own thing, and then your teammates are like, "Why aren't you helping?"
And you're like, well, because there's secrets here. Buried secrets.
Yeah.
Norman Withers. 5/7, 3/1, 3/2, 4. Action. Spend 2 clues to discard 1 monster on a space containing a gate. Once per round, you may spend 1 sanity in place of spending a clue. And he has Feed the Mind. Test book -1 if you pass. Choose an investigator on your space to improve one's skill of their choice. Then flip this card. You're an investigator on your space.
If only there was a way to make making someone's numbers better good.
If only.
He's S tier.
Yeah. Yeah.
If only.
If someone has Norman, they usually end up choosing Norman, unless they're like bad. Or I'd probably like someone like Akachi and Charlie Kane. There, like if I was given like 3 of these S tiers, I'd be like, oh frick, Charlie Kane, easy choice.
Yeah. I mean, like it's real tough to pick something over Charlie Kane.
Yeah. Patrice, 5 health, 7 sanity, 3/2, 3/1, 4 for her skills. Actions: you may spend 1 clue, 1 focus to improve 1 skill of your choice. When you close a gate during an otherworld encounter, gain 1 clue and 1 focus. She starts with the clue in Banishment, which is test book +2. If you pass, discard 1 monster on the nearest space containing a gate with toughness equal to or less than your test result.
It's a way to play the game without playing the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
A tier?
Yeah.
Gain a focus. Spend that focus to improve your book. Just start killing things from wherever you are.
She does just get to like buff her skills for free.
Yep.
That's real good.
That's real good. Preston Fairmont. You're in this game too, huh? Look at that. Mask in the alphabet. 7/5 health sanity. 2/5. 5 handshake. 2/3/1. Action. You and another investigator in your space may perform an acquire assets action and or gather resources action. Once per round, when you gain an asset from the reserve or deck, recover 1 sanity. He starts with fine clothes. He also starts in Istanbul. So he... Oh my god.
6.
Each 6-year-old when perform... It's the clothing shotgun. When you perform and acquire assets, count as 2 successes.
As I like to call it, the shotgun.
So he's good, but he's not as good as Bob, Charlie, and Jenny, right?
He might be better than Jenny.
But
Yeah.
Jenny,
There's a distinct possibility.
the thing is though that Jenny, she can do her action from anywhere. With Preston, you can't split up from that person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, shopping is always just so strong here, right? Preston, yeah. Shopping is so critical in this game.
It is, it is very powerful. And getting to start with a 5?
Yeah, and then, like, you're shopping on your first turn, which you turn into resources because you also get to gather.
Yeah.
And you also you
Yeah.
can shop twice. Oh, yeah, no, he's S tier. Rex Murphy. 7/7, 2/3, 2/3. Gain any number of assets of your choice from the reserve as an action with a total value less than your handshake. If you do not have a curse condition, gain 1 clue, improve 1 skill of your choice, and gain a curse condition. So
Never not
curse
cursed.
is you only succeed on a 6 now. Spooky.
Yeah, he's like not so good in this game.
I agree. He has a lucky talisman, a curse condition, and a skill improvement of your choice. Once per round, you may reroll all of your dice when resolving a test. Yeah, we end up playing him a lot, but mostly just because like it's fun, but not because it's good.
Yeah. I mean, I do really enjoy watching Travis play him when we're playing with Patrick, because it would work, and Patrick would just get incredibly mad.
That sounds great. That sounds perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
C tier?
I think this iteration is like obviously it's not his strongest because the card game exists.
Mm-hmm.
But I think next to the card game, it's his best one.
B tier then? What do you think, Brent?
I think he's like not a good dude.
You know, he's got big numbers. And he gets to reroll all his dice once per turn.
I guess.
Like, I can live with him in the C tier. That's fine.
C for cursed. We've
Yeah,
done
just
it.
like
yeah, like
the
only
second
flipping-
edition one is actually garbage.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Rita Young, what does she do in this game? 7-5, 3-1-2-4-3.
Injuries.
Action, you may spend 1 health or sanity to gain a talent condition. Add 1 to the result of each die rolled as part of an illness, injury, or madness condition effect. She starts with the rugged condition, which is you may reroll 1 die when resolving a flex test. Once per round, if you would lose 2 or more health, prevent 1 of that health loss, then flip this card. Probably just like easy B tier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like back injuries do suck.
Yep.
Which is true in real life too.
Yeah, it's just, especially when you turn
Yeah.
32. You really start to feel it. Yeah. Yeah. This ability is really nice to just passively have. Like, this is going to help you quite a bit. But
Mhm.
I don't think otherwise she's that exciting. Roland Banks. Oh, what does he do? 7-5, 2-2-4-2-3. Action. This is so weird. It's just his stat line in comparison to what I have now in my head have him as. I'm like, what the frick? Action. Set aside any number of service assets from the reserve. Once per round during the action phase, you or another investigator may gain 1 service asset that you have set aside, discard 1 card from the reserve, or spawn 1 clue. That's pretty sick, actually. He starts with the Mauser, which is not a Guardian weapon, Roland. Gain +2 flex during combat encounters. You may reroll 1 die. And the agency secrets is test handshake. If you pass, you strike a deal with the agency to assist one another. Flip this card. I mean, like, even just on its baseline without that thing, just spawning a clue each turn will help you quite a bit. The stat line's kind of garbage, though. Like, kind of, like, really poopy.
What do you mean? 4 eyeball is great.
4 eyeball is great.
He lied.
It's really good at research. It is, yes. And then you look at your 2s and you're like, oh my god. And you start in San Fran so you can make your eye 5.
Yeah, I do think his ability is very strong.
Mm-hmm.
So like once per round, you can discard cards from the reserve.
Yep. All 3 options.
Service assets are good too.
Yeah.
Like, they're all strong. They're all powerful one-shot effects.
Probably a B tier? I think so.
Yeah.
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 Safina Rousseau. 4-8 for
S
health and
tier for
sanity.
Safina.
It's true. 3-2-4-1-3 for her stats. She starts in Australia to get that muscle up. Action. You may spend 1 improvement token to gain 1 clue, focus, and resource. After resolving a test, if you roll 2 or more successes, you may spend 1 focus to improve that skill. She starts with a clue and a treasured memento, which is once per turn, when you spend 1 focus, you may gain 1 focus. It sounds like once you get the ball rolling with her, she just like becomes really nice. Just like a free clue when you roll 2 or more successes, which you probably will, for anything except your strength. And like getting essentially a free reroll every turn with your treasured memento.
Mm-hmm. Two successes during one test is a lot harder than it sounds.
It is, yes.
But also, it's not something you need to go out of your way to try to make happen.
Yeah, it just passively happens.
Like it will.
Yeah.
At some point. probably, unless you only test the punch.
And likewise, how like Lily Chen being in Shanghai meant she had easy access to Australia. With Safina, you have really easy access to Shanghai.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, it doesn't actually matter which improvement tokens you get, because you can always just burn them into other stuff.
Yeah. She seems to me like she can be a potential A tier.
Yeah, sure.
She's another one from Masks who we haven't played that much. All right. Silas Marsh. All right, he's like Ash Campete, but for ship paths. Health and Sanity 8413333. Action, move one space along a ship path, then perform one additional action. If you're on a ship space, investigators on your space roll one additional die when resolving tests. Because he's a sailor, you see. And he has a fishing net, which is you may reroll and die during combat encounters and reduce the health of monsters you encounter by 1 to a minimum of 1.
I would put him in S tier for sexy.
He is very sexy.
Also, I think his like move along a path then take an extra action. I think this is the best one.
Yep.
Because boat paths are long, and when you need to use them, it will cost you most of a turn. Sometimes more than that. Also, if you're playing against Cthulhu,
oh my god,
then he's like actually probably S tier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Realistically, he's more like an A tier investigator, though.
Yeah. Honestly, what you said, just copy paste. He's very good. He's S tier against Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Anytime you have to do with the bottom half of the board, he has that covered. Like, he'll control that. Sister Mary? What the frick?
None with a gun.
5/7. Her skills are 2/2, 3/2, 4. Her abilities are action, test brain. For each success, you or another investigator on any space may discard one madness condition. You or another investigator in your space add 1 to the result of each die rolled as part of a bane or a boon condition effect. She starts with a ship ticket, a clue, and holy water, as nuns often do. You may discard this card to gain +5 brain and +5 fist during a combat encounter. Action. You may discard this card to choose an investigator in your space. That investigator gains a bless condition. Otherwise known as just what you do.
Bless yourself. Bless yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So the adding 1 to a result will determine if you lose that bane or boon during the reckoning maze. So that is really nice for both of those effects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we see her a lot. The ability to bless herself means she can just like never stop. She'll just go.
Never stop. Yeah, being blessed in this game is very good.
Yeah.
And discarding blessings is very easy.
Yes, it is.
Except when you're a nun, in which case it's equally easy if you're me, but you get to be a little bit more upset about it.
Skids O'Toole, 6/6 health sanity, 2/1/3/4/3 for his skills. Action, you may discard 1 item or trinket asset to gain 1 item or trinket asset of your choice from the reserve with value equal to or less than 1 plus the value of the discarded asset. And whenever you roll a 1 during a test, you may reroll that die. That's a very nice ability.
It is quite strong. It's like being blessed all the time, kind of.
Yeah. And then he's got an axe for some reason, which is gain +2 during combat encounters. You may spend 2 sanity to reroll any number of dice when resolving a flex test during a combat encounter. So is it Arkham Horror 2nd Edition, Eldritch Horror, or both? When you kill a maniac, you get an axe?
I think it's 2nd edition.
Yes?
Let's find out. I'm curious. Is there monsters? Monsters. Maniac. You gain 1 in this one, too.
Oh,
That's wild. So what we're saying is Skids is a maniac, right?
Yeah.
He's a good fighter. Like, he has, 3 brain. Like, he's probably an A tier, right?
He is pretty pretty good. Like getting to reroll your ones is not entirely dissimilar to being blessed all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite the same. It's not quite as good.
But it's close enough for me.
But like, it's not that far off.
All right. Tommy Muldoon, 7523332. He starts on the Alaskan coast. What the frick, Tommy? Action. Move one monster of your choice with toughness 3 or less from an adjacent space to your space. During the encounter phase, other investigators on your space may choose an encounter as if there are no monsters on your space. He improves his will off the start. And he has a carbine rifle, which is once per round you may gain +5 flex during a combat encounter.
Yeah, it's only not named Becky because this game doesn't do things like that.
It's true. Unless you're Ash Campete, then you get Duke. I don't know. He kind of seems like a B tier to me.
I just love the flavor of his action ability being, you come fight me. Oh no, tough.
Yeah.
Like,
Man, no wonder I don't have like an emotional connection to Tommy. All right. Tony Morgan. 7-5 health sanity, 22432. What the frick? Action is test handshake. If you pass, you may spend up to 2 focus to gain 1 clue for each focus spent. When you defeat a monster during a combat encounter, gain 1 focus. He starts with handcuffs, which is before resolving the flex test during a combat encounter, you may spend 1 focus to defeat that monster if it has toughness 2 or less. Honestly, this whole kit sounds really good.
it does seem kind of neat.
I don't think it's that great. Like, so you get a. It depends a little bit on what monsters spawn, right? But
Yep.
if it's like lots of little health guys you can just arrest, that's good. But otherwise, you need to find a weapon, which might be tough with your 2 influence.
Yeah, that's what
And then
you
you
got
got
your
killed 2 of them.
Charlie Kane for.
Yeah, and then you kill 2 of them, and then you can kill 2 of them. You can spend one of your 2 actions to try and pass an influence test with your 2 influence to spend your 2 focus to get 2 clues. Like, it's nice when it happens, but I think that's a little inconsistent for my tastes.
That's fair.
It's like a little too many things that gotta go right.
Yeah, you're right.
I think
should
if
just
he
have
started
5
with like an
punch.
actual weapon, he'd be A tier, but I think B tier is where this man lives. The frick, Tony. These are not your stats. This feels all wrong.
Yeah, right?
Trish. I remember her being very good. Yes. She is. 7-5, 1, 3, 4, 3, 2 for her stats. She has the action. If you do not have any clues, gain a clue. If an investigator in your space spends a clue to reroll a die, they may roll up to 2 die instead. And she starts with the 45 automatic, which is gain +3 during combat encounters. Free clue.
Free clues.
A tier?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, last 6. Ursula Downs. Oh no, she has to do with expedition. Oh no. 6632332. She starts in the heart of Africa. Action. Move 1 space along an uncharted path and perform an additional action. Once per round, you or another investigator in your space may spend 1 less focus to pay for an effect. She has the mineralogy research asset, and you can prove a skill of her choice. After resolving a general encounter or an expedition encounter on a wilderness space, you may examine the area's soil. Eyeball. If you pass, gain 2 clues and discard this card. So, I think she's... If someone on my team said, hey, I really want to play the expedition, she's probably the one I'd want them to do that with. Because moving along an uncharted path always feels bad in this game.
She's also like George Barnaby and Tony Morgan's best friend.
Yep.
Like, show up and he's like, arresting this guy's gonna be tough. Like, nah, he's just a dude. Go hit him.
Yeah. Does she live here, or do we put her with the other expedition ones?
Like you do get a free reroll every turn.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Probably me
have to
then,
be
right?
your reroll.
Yeah.
Uncharted paths are garbage.
It means basically that you just spend your first action moving along an uncharted path and then being like, all right, I'm finally out of the heart of Africa. I can do something.
Yeah, she can be a strangely good fighter.
Yep.
Feels weird.
Vincent Lee, the Doctor. 6613324. Action. You or another investigator in your space may discard one injury or illness condition and/or perform a rest action. When you or another investigator in your space performs a rest action, they may recover one additional health. Starts with bandages and compose. Bandages are you may discard this card to prevent an investigator from your space from losing up to 2 health. And composed is when resolving a test, if you do not roll any ones, you may re-roll all of your dice.
Composed is very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I don't ever want to go to Vincent Lee as my doctor.
No.
I hurt myself, and he's like getting out the bone saw.
Like, yeah,
okay.
you know, like, I stubbed my toe, and he's like, give me a second.
I think I broke my toe. Well, we better chop that sucker off.
Please, no. How different is he than Carolyn?
They're just like mirrored, kind of.
So, in theory, we can like put them on the same plane of existence, right? Yeah, probably. They're kind of just the same. All right, Wendy Adams, what do you do in this one? 5731423 action. Gain a trinket asset of your choice from the reserve or discard pile. Once per round, if you would gain a non-deal condition or an impairment token, you may choose to not gain that condition or impairment token instead.
She's just the permanent lead investigator.
Yeah, I was like, wasn't her our secret to winning campaign mode? Was you?
Yeah. Her largely because her personal story like stops you from taking damage from the deck.
Yeah. Yeah, Mythos card effects cannot cause you to lose health or sanity.
Yeah.
She's also
so you kind of
elusive.
just sit there and you're like, what you got?
During the encounter phase, you may test I. If you pass, you may choose an encounter as if there are no monsters on your space. A tier question mark?
I think for her it entirely depends what trinket assets show up.
It's true.
But yeah, there are a lot of old ones where being able because of the way that it's worded, you can choose to gain the token and then just be like, you know what, I won't. Mm-hmm. But the game sees it as you having taken the token.
Yeah.
So like there are a lot of old ones where they're like, you got to impair one turn, but if you go to Wendy Adams,
you're like, I do it, but I don't do it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Anytime an encounter says like, hey, improve this to get this, and you're like, okay, and then they give you it, and then you're like, actually, I'm not going to, and then they're like, the deal's the deal. You got the stuff.
It's too late. You've already signed the deal.
All right. What the frick is this starting equipment for Will Yorick? Gravedigger, 7/5 for health sanity. Skills are 3/2/2/3/3. Action, discard up to 2 cards from the reserve, then perform 1 additional action. Hey, he's burying the items, you see. When you defeat a monster with toughness 2 or greater during a combat encounter, you may gain 1 non-servant asset of your choice from the reserve. Holy fuck, that's his ability. Oh my god.
Yep. He's doing the thing.
He starts with alchemical concoction for some reason. Bury them deep and focus. This says you may discard this card to gain +5 during a combat encounter for the concoction, and bury them deep is when a non-epic monster is defeated or discarded, you may spend 1 focus to place that monster on this card.
Yeah. So like then you can
Flip it?
I think you can flip it and it does something.
Yeah.
On the other side.
I'd hope so. Otherwise, that's just like, look what I've done. Trophies from 2nd edition, but not. I think he's probably like, there's a lot of good for him, but I think he's just a B tier because he doesn't start with like a weapon that's consistent. He does start in Sydney, which is notable and makes sense for his backstory. But I think he's missing the little things that make him A tier for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Wilson Richards. The handyman. 8'4". 13243. He starts in Arkham. Wow. Asset. Action. Gain one asset of your choice with value 1 from the reserve, or discard 1 card from the reserve and perform 1 additional action. When you or another investigator in your space spend focus to reroll a die, that investigator may reroll up to 2 dice instead. That's a nice ability. And the blunderbuss, which is what he starts with, which is when resolving a combat encounter, you may gain +2 flex. If you do each 6 you roll during a combat encounter counts as 2 successes, and each one negates a success. Starts with bad shotgun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Huh.
That focus ability is really nice, though.
This
It
is
does
true.
play well with blunderbuss.
It does, yeah.
I think he's a pretty solid monster killer.
Yeah. Do you think he's
Yeah.
A tier worthy?
Who else do we have in A tier right now? Compared to B tier?
Michael McGlenn, Mark Harrigan.
Dude, our A tier's so bloated.
I mean, I think overall the investigators are pretty good in this game.
Yeah. I don't know, he can go either place, I think.
Yeah. Well, let's continue to just bloat our A tier.
Okay.
Yeah, I mostly just enjoy that guy because he makes Patrick angry whenever somebody picks him.
Why?
Yeah.
Because he's like, why would you want to roll ones?
I get you.
You get to remove successes.
Zoe, our last investigator, 5'7", 32134. Action: if you have fewer than 2 task cards, gain 1 task unique asset. If you have not lost sanity during a combat encounter, roll 2 additional die when resolving the flex test. And she starts with the Holy Cross, which is gain +2 brain during combat encounters.
Yeah. So as a fighter, I think she's definitely S tier. Task assets are very strong, and 2, she effectively begins the game at 5-6 for her combat numbers.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, Bryn. And then she gets a weapon, and it just starts snowballing.
Yeah, right. And then once you find something to actually hit people with,
we've done it. We've reached
check
the
it
end.
out. D tier is actually C tier. It's
Yeah.
the same.
Look at that. Boom. You thought there was something below you guys? No. Sucks to suck. All right. I'll just scroll through for people who are watching at home if they want to see this. Man, makes me excited for these characters to come out in the card game. I can't wait for Agatha Crane. She's going to be fun. Handyman, Daryl Simmons. Doctor, I could take it or leave it. This guy, honestly, I often forget he exists.
Yep.
Poor Carson. All right. Well, that's the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more of this kind of content, let us know in the future. I know as well people do want to see us do Eldritch Horror again on the channel. So hopefully we can get that on sometime, because that would be really fun also to just play the game again. Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.